Okay.
I don't know. Good job.
Supposed to like go down, but you went like up. You went.
Is it reverse? Rock, paper, scissors, let's try it.
No, I did it. Oh
Up,
no,
up, up.
we're not doing that.
Dang it.
We're good. Welcome to Books We Never Read.
Except for those we have.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Jason.
And my brain doesn't work after reading all of that.
Today we're discussing Volume 2. That's the little middle part of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. If you have not read this voluminous section, you're going to need to stop this video and go back and read. It is very long. It's very enjoyable. It is very long. But go back and read and then catch up with us on the replay. If you're joining us live, chat us up in the chat box. That's what just distracted me because I'm already reading the chat. If you're catching us on a replay, chat us up in the comment section of the video. We love to relive the things that we read. And this is going to be one that we love reliving. This is one of those books that, like, you only get to read it the first time once. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And, like, that's any book. You only get to read it the first time once. But this is one of those books I think that you mourn not getting to, like, relive it for the first time. It's just so, like, involved.
Yeah.
There's so many details. And I don't know why I care, but I do. So, I mean, that's just like a sign that it's so well written.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we are on YouTube Music as a podcast. If you would like to hear us and not see us, we are on little old Instagram, but we've been so quiet for weeks over there. Sorry. But we're here, really. This is really where we live. It's right here on YouTube.
Yep. It's the biggest section we could have possibly chose for the busiest week of my life. And I blacked out a little.
Yeah.
So, like, people are talking about the last chapter, and I remember it, but I don't remember why it's important. Y'all have to fill me in.
The very last sentence.
Yeah, okay. Well, so we'll have to get to that, because I honestly don't remember. But, man, I mean, I was blasting through it, and I drove a lot this week, and I have increased my reading speed from 1.6 to 2.1. So, like, we are booking it. And if you try to talk to me while I'm listening to my book, be like, hey, how you doing? I don't know. Maybe talking very fast.
I accidentally slept through one whole chapter, and it was one of the long ones. Mm-hmm. So I might not know some things about, like, Napoleon.
Oh. When I was in high school, I read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And this book reminds me a lot of that for some reason. Like, they're just like the little adventures and the stories and like the side stories and all that, you know? And I would fall asleep constantly while reading that book and dream about it. And so, like, to this day, I don't know what's real and what's not. Because it was just, like, so incredibly trippy for me. And I kind of have that feeling with this. Because, like, I'm paying attention. And like you said, this is good. And I'm invested. But then I'll, like, black out for, like, 3 minutes. And
like,
what is happening?
And then you come back and you're like, oh, well, I'm here. It's fine.
Yeah.
This book is very much a fever dream. Like, there are so many descriptions of things that are happening, spells that are cast, and it's just things you can only dream about. Speaking of, I love that one of the attacks against the French was giving them bad dreams.
Yeah.
And they were like, that wouldn't even scare his kid.
Right.
It was like opening his closet and finding like something weird. I don't know. It was so funny.
One of the trippiest parts of this is how Miss Clarke, whenever the author.
Oh.
Whenever the minister's wife will try to tell anybody about her nightly adventures, right, in Lost Hope, how she just like tells them this nonsense, and the author.
Let me tell you about the P tax and.
Oh, and then she does, and that's like one of the trippiest parts about this.
But even Arabella was like, "What was she trying to tell me?"
Right.
And then poor Arabella. Got
so what happened?
overtaken for a week. She died.
Okay, but why?
The tinsel-haired man.
Okay,
took
that's
her.
what. Okay, I got you.
So I'm assuming the tinsel-haired man is thinking that Strange will bring her back. and she'll get that half-life just like...
Interesting, yeah. Because he's been hitting on her for like years.
Yeah. And Strange just hasn't been paying attention.
Yeah.
That, wow, she has this invisible person that she talks to that no one's ever seen before. And wow, the king, which that little escapade of getting him out of the grounds was really funny.
Yeah.
But like the king is talking to this tinsel-haired man that you can't see. Come on.
Right.
He just does not pay enough attention.
He's got to put it all together. Yeah.
Yeah, poor Lady Pole. She's just worn out. She's like, don't talk to me about a dance. I'm danced out. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, you hate dances.
Yeah.
But she's just being... And poor Steven.
Yeah, poor Steven.
And he's so kind about it. Thank you for all these things. And he's just like, get me out of here.
Yep.
I liked the chapter that detailed how he got his scepter, crown, and orb.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was so entertaining. I mean, like, this book is so good.
Yeah. Well, like, I can get thinking of, like, 2 or 3 cool scenarios, but all of these, like, that's kind of wild.
It's just back to back to back.
Yeah.
But I guess, I mean, so we did not hear much of Vinculus. We know we're looking for the book, and we haven't gotten any updates on that.
Yeah, that his father might have eaten.
His father ate it. Yeah. So is the Raven King going to be the big bad, or is the big bad tinsel hair man?
So one thought I have is I don't see why they have to be separate. Like, why can't they be the same guy? I'm not sure that I think they will be. I would not be surprised if, like, what we find... Because his name's John Uskglass or whatever.
Who is John Uskglass?
He is the Raven King.
Okay, I get it now. They're like, this whole time we've been doing John's magic.
Right.
And then they were talking about how the whole time they've been doing the Raven King's magic. Yes. Okay, got it.
They're the same person. And so at one point, like, there's this comment that, like, all magic is fairy magic, and it's because all magic is John Uskglass's magic, and John Uskglass was raised in fairy and then came to England. And then he has disappeared. And so one thought could be that he is the tinsel-haired man now and has gone mad or become more fairy-like. One of my favorite things about talking about fairies was, like, humans have a certain proportion of logic to magic, and then... Or, like, rationality to magic, and fairies have the inverse. And so they have more magic, but, like, less rationality, and so they're kind of chaotic. I thought that was cool. But so, like, John Uskglass could have really just left, and they need him to come back to fight the tinsel-haired man. That's certainly possible. You know, I'm going to change my mind. I think it's highly unlikely that the tinsel-haired man is John Uskglass, because the tinsel-haired man clearly references all these people that he has served in the past, and so he is obviously a fairy. But anyway, so the big bad is probably still the fairy, and now we need to get this person that, like, Norrell hates for, like, no good reason really, other than, like, he left at some point.
Norrell is such a twit. I mean, like,
he's really terrible.
Just wringing his little hands over, oh, there's gonna be another magician, and then, okay, I'll teach the magician, but I'm not gonna give you all my books. And then, like, oh, I should have given you my books, and now you're gonna leave.
Yeah.
Mr. Norrell. Sir.
Yeah. Well,
draw right, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Oh, so my gosh.
I feel like we're all over the place already. But yeah, I was going to bring that up. Like, I love finding out that he's been, like, scamming people, and now he's just, like, in pauper jail.
Oh, my gosh.
Sucker.
What a turn of events.
Yeah.
That was juicy. That was good stuff.
That was fun. Well, and then just, like, everybody just, like, up and abandons him, and
well, because he's an idiot.
Sure he is. But now Mr. Lucelle is the one who's, like, kind of taking advantage of things. Like very obviously taking advantage of things.
Ooh, and I was like, ooh, whatever, it was that lady, and he was like, she's like, yeah, make him go bankrupt. I'm like, who is it?
Yeah.
It was him.
It was him, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, everything is starting to, like, turn in on itself.
Well, all these people are all too close.
Yeah. But one thing I am enjoying about this part of the book was, like, despite the fact that Mr. Norrell is not a theoretical magician, I felt like the first third of this book was, like, very theoretical, right? It was all relationships and positioning, and it was very political. And, like, certainly there was magic. Probably the biggest magic there was bringing Lady Pole back to life. You know, it is still, to this point, that is still the biggest magic. But there was not much magic and it wasn't like terribly practical, you know. But this one, we get to see the battlefield magic, and we get to see all this other stuff, you know.
Just roads getting built everywhere. And
yeah, I thought it was cool.
Very neat. And them complaining like he's deleting our roads while we're still on them.
Yeah.
Like, move faster.
Yeah.
Chapter 38 was the favorite. So much revenge magic requested. She was getting after everybody.
Yeah.
And like, girl, you made a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you trying to bring everyone else down? Like, it sucked to be a woman back then. This whole society, very anti-woman. There was a comment towards the beginning of Volume 2 where it was like, magicians are great. Witches? You gotta watch out for the witches. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, can't teach her. She's a woman. There's a lot of that going on. Strange was way more active in his magic practice before he actually went somewhere. Yeah.
Because he actually absolutely
went somewhere.
Well, and so I think that's, you know, we finally have this like breakup of Strange and Norrell, which is good because nobody likes Norrell. And, you know, there's this idea that Norrell is perpetrating, that he is the teacher and Strange is the student. And Norrell has all these books, so clearly he has the knowledge, I guess. Like that's the position he's taking. Mm-hmm. But it seems very obvious to me that Strange is like the better magician. Mm-hmm. He has more practical skills. He's doing more stuff. If anything, he's figuring it out, all despite not having access to the information.
Right.
Well, so I like, as far as the battlefield stuff goes, I really enjoyed them kind of exploring the fact that like he didn't understand the lingo, because that happens everywhere. Right?
That whole thing was funny.
That was very funny.
What does on the line mean?
Right. Which like is obvious to me. It might be obvious to everybody, and so, but it was not obvious to him. And so, you know, like you'll come home from work sometimes and you'll say stuff, and I'll be like,
what does that mean?
And you're like, it makes sense to you, but like I don't know what it means.
Right. That was very funny.
Yeah.
But I love that, you know, there's just so many details here that could have just been a quick detail, but became a little story.
Yeah.
And it builds the world, mm-hmm. and it gives little ha-has, and, mm-hmm. you know, somehow she does that without us being like, I don't care.
Right.
Move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, why is it so good? I feel like we'd usually complain about all these little side stories.
Yeah, but so think about the book about the people on the plane. They got their futures told or whatever. You know, in that book, there were some characters we were invested in, and sometimes we were just like, I don't care, let's move on. Like, I want to like hear this other character. I want to find out what happens to them. You know, and so something was happening where like we were invested in some characters more than others. And, like, we didn't want to hear this little bit about their lives or whatever. Or you know, that happened to me, at least. And, but you're right, I'm not really having this here. Despite the fact that there's, like, an infinite number of characters. And she will give us a full history of some guy that we're only going to need to know about for the next two pages. And then we will never speak of him again. So.
Yeah. I had noticed that Jonathan was becoming more like Mr. Norrell in 17 Dead Neapolitans in that chapter. Mm-hmm. And then he acknowledged that about mm-hmm. himself a couple of chapters later. He's like, ooh. Mm-hmm. But he has really become like him. Just very, you know, just focused on his own thing and mm-hmm. not concerned about others.
Sure.
Not even noticing whether his wife is there or not.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, he definitely has. Oh, and it is a shame because I really do like Arabella. She seems sweet.
Yeah.
And Strange did not start as a uninterested person.
Right.
He was more involved with her at the beginning, but like I think we see that happening with almost all the men, including
Walter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like I don't know, he was in a weird situation because he was in like the prototypical British engagement or whatever, right? Where like they didn't know each other, and mm-hmm. then he was like, "Oh, you're cool," but like now his wife's insane, so like they're not close. Like I get that. But this is happening sort of like all the male mm-hmm. characters, including Stephen. But Stephen's insane.
Right. Oh, poor Stephen.
And so like all the women are slowly being abandoned in all these different ways, I guess. But there was something else I was going to say about Strange changing. I don't remember now. It's gone.
We did get a footnote that said see the other footnote in chapter 2 that made me laugh. I made a note, how weird, the guy that thinks he's pregnant with a baby elephant. What is happening? He like pointed at Strange. He's like, "Can you undo things?" What is happening?
I bet
is it Tinsel Hairman doing
watch
that?
that light come back around. Yeah, probably. Maybe.
And then in the chapter, Strange decides to write a book. They describe like the fairy feast or whatever, and they eat hummingbirds. It's weird.
It's supposed to feel unnatural, I guess. Yeah.
Poor Steven's like, I don't want it. I'll eat my pork pie. Yeah. And then again, poor Steven. This is the whole book. It should just be called Poor Steven. He got like trapped in that bog and had to pick up the moss and do the things to trap Arabella. And in his mind, he's like, but she should be free.
I remember what I was going to say now. I've been struggling to remember for a second. I was going to say that there's sort of this comment whenever they were like working on like the magic school, and whenever Mr. Norrell and Strange have this falling out, they say like it's bad to have two magicians because you can like pick a side, and if there were more, you wouldn't just be able to like pick a side necessarily, and it'd be. And I think it's interesting, and it just reminds me of like the Sith from Star Wars, where there's always two, and the comment in this book is that like when there are two, there will always be a natural competition for who is the master, and I think in Star Wars there's kind of this concept that you're supposed to and like these two are so strong because they're continually like evolving, they're overcoming their previous master, overcoming, but there is sort of a natural competitive element when there are only two. Yeah, I just thought that was.
So that's Norrell's fault. There could have been 50.
There could have been 50. Yeah, for sure, it's his fault. Yeah.
Crazy. Okay, so I'm remembering Mr. Hyde, but was Mr. Hyde the one that discovered that Arabella was leaving the house?
I remember the name. I don't remember much else.
I think that was him. There was a quote in that chapter that made me like laugh out loud. And the brother, Arabella's brother, was complaining about the trees and how they block the light. And Jonathan Strange was like, and so do you, but I don't take an axe to you.
Right. Yeah.
He's turning into such a grumpus. Such a grumpus. And then that ended so abruptly with, and 3 days later, she died. I said, oh! Like it just happened so fast. So I literally made a note. Oh! My goodness. That's all my notes.
It's pretty good. There was just so much.
It was so much.
Yeah.
So much.
Is this next week's reading as much?
No.
Good.
Gracious. This will seem short.
Good.
In comparison. Let's see. Crazy. I wish that I wasn't on like such a time crunch to read that middle section. You know? Like I wish I could have slowed down and enjoyed it.
That's pretty big.
Yeah. There's like 8 hours left. Yeah, there's 8 hours left of the book. So, whoop. Anyway, but just yeah, all the characters and like all the descriptions. I mean, it makes like such a clear movie in my head. I can't wait to watch the show to see how they've done some of this. Like, so some of my disappointments in like the Harry Potter movies is that they didn't even try to show some of the coolest magic that happened in the books. They just left it out completely. I want to see... What? Oh, 800 phone pages. Got it. I want to see some of this cool magic.
Yeah.
Going through the mirrors.
Yeah.
Like when Strange went through all the mirrors to determine who was being Strange.
Well, so somebody had a comment earlier that they thought that maybe that's where John Uskglass is that he kind of stuck in the mirrors. In the mirror roads. Because
I feel like we were somewhere, and he was like, "There's a lot of shoes in there." Yeah.
Yeah.
And that he was on a mission, and he couldn't go chase someone down, but he knew someone else was in there.
Yeah, he saw somebody in there, and so I think that's a good guess. Like maybe they'll like rescue him or something. And
good job, guys. Rescue him. What if he doesn't need to be?
Well, I mean, if he's stuck in there, it reminds me of the Ways from Wheel of Time.
It does.
Yeah.
He might not be stuck in there. He might be the ruler of the Ways.
Maybe so. Certainly could.
That's why them shoes are missing. Yeah, Peggy. And also, like in Goblet of Fire, when they're in the maze, there's a whole part of the maze where the world flips upside down. And Harry's upside down, and then he has to go face the Sphinx and stuff. And you don't even see that in the movies.
I think it's funny in this book how, like, what they, like, consider possible or not possible.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes he'll just be like, I can't do that. And then he'll, like, raise the dead. Or he'll make, like, water horses or sand horses to, like, move a boat, you know? Like, but, like,
which was, like, detrimental to the environment.
Yeah.
Of the, it's like, oh, my gosh.
Well, I think that part's interesting, right? Because, and maybe it's that at one point they asked him to make it was something about the rain, and he was like, I can't do that. But later on, they talk about how, like, weather magic is, like...
It's a thing.
Like, quintessential British magic.
They made it daytime when they thought it'd be nighttime, and nighttime when they thought it'd be daytime, and made it rain, made it snow.
But, so, like, part of that conversation, at least in Spain, is about how, like, Strange doesn't understand the implications of what this would do to his own army. And so I think that's interesting. But I do think it's interesting also just to explore how messing with all that stuff changes things permanently. There's even the part when they're in Portugal, he like moves towns and roads all over the place and never puts them back.
He sticks Belgium and America for a minute.
That part was so much fun. So I read that part, and then you were listening to it later, and I could hear it. And there's that whole, like, they talk to the Native Americans, and they're like, hey, there's this tribe of, like, half-made people. They don't know how to do anything. And it was leftover. It was deserters. So he moved Amsterdam, or not Amsterdam. He moved
Brussels.
He moved Brussels to, like, the Great Plains somewhere, and then a bunch of the soldiers left town, so they wouldn't have to go back to the battle. Brussels goes back to Europe. The battle is fought, and these dudes are stuck here, and that's what's going on. And they have a cannon.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and they've run out of ammunition for the cannon, and yeah, it was. And so they trade the cannon to the Native Americans. The Native Americans run out of ammo. But it's just like, yeah, this tribe of... And it's this, like, interesting fusion of, like, Native culture with European culture. And, yeah. That part was really cool.
And again, that would have been a great part for me to not have to rush through.
Yeah.
To be able to slow down and really, like, understand everything that they're telling me. This would be a book to read again.
Yeah.
Because there's too many details to catch the first time around.
Yeah. So, but what's unfortunate is that part is, like, half a page, right? Like, it's... Well, I mean, like the moving of it takes a little bit. But, like, the cool part is... Oh, and then, like, some people got left, and they were, like, just running around. But, like, that's something that I bet is not in the show. Because, like, it doesn't matter. It's just fun, and it's cool, and it's immersive. But it doesn't get you anywhere.
There would be ways that a show could include all these little tidbits as Easter eggs. Like, just something happening, like, just almost off camera in the background. That's not explained, but if you read the book, you'd be oh my gosh, that's what that is.
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Because, I mean, like, this description of somebody finding this half-baked tribe or whatever takes half a page, but in, like, a show, you have to have, like, the trapper, like, ride up, and then he has to talk to this dude, and then he has to go see this guy, and then it takes some time to show it.
So the first episode of the show is an hour long. And it's on YouTube.
Yep. Oh, really? Okay, yeah. Interesting.
Very entertaining. Like, I still don't know what the point is. I don't know.
It's just...
You know, and I'm not rooting for anybody.
Yeah.
Or really, I'm rooting for, like... Stephen, Mrs. Pole, Arabella. What's going to happen? They going to bring her back, you think? What you think?
Maybe. I mean, like, they know how. You know, part of me is like, Norrell gets all over Strange for doing, supposedly, which he did, black magic in Spain to, like, bring back the Neapolitans or whatever. But, like, he brought somebody back from the dead, too.
Yes.
Just saying.
And I had made a note that when Mr. Norrell was teaching Strange, he was like, and we don't want to be doing magic that has the fairies get involved. And I was like, your biggest piece of magic got the fairy involved. Like, what a hypocrite.
I think at this point we should suspect that fairies involved, right? Like it's just...
Apparently there's always a little fairy there that maybe you can see him and maybe you can't.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean...
King George can see him.
Yeah, somehow this is fairy magic. Well, King George... So that's different, right? It's not because he was doing magic. That fairy is there scouting out the king so he can, like, knock him off so Stephen can have his job. Yeah. And so, like, what would a magic fight even look like, right? Because, like, to this point, has Stephen killed somebody with magic?
Stephen?
No, sorry, not Stephen. No, Strange. Because, he does this whole thing about it's not gentlemanly to do it.
Someone else did it while he was thinking.
That was it.
And he was like, wow, and I just told someone a gentleman wouldn't, and then someone else did it. He's like, okay.
But so, what's going to happen there? And like, how would you have that fight? That'll be interesting. Like, will they actually do combat, or will it be something else?
Building roads, deleting roads, and then you get, like, trapped in a bog. Just
I don't know.
Bloop you into a swamp.
Something.
Madness, these fairies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about the two, like, scumbag brothers that were, like... they were like, you need to make the king suffer, right? Like... to take away his delusions and isolation. And I was like, oh my god. But like, people are like that back then.
That was wild.
It's a rough time for mental health.
And women.
Well, everyone's mental health. Like, were you a child? You were in a factory. Were you a lady? You were locked in your house. Were you a mad person? You were locked up elsewhere. Were you a not first son? You're in the army.
Why were we trying to buy a carpet to wrap somebody up? That kind of came and went, and I didn't understand why we were there. But Stephen was like, we're not interested, thanks.
I don't remember.
The tinsel hair man took him somewhere. There was something about a carpet. And then we heard, like, a side story about someone who got trapped in a carpet, and once he came out, he was looking for revenge. Yeah, that's what reminded me of it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, you need to trap the bad man with a carpet with a crazy pattern. And then there was that story about, like, the carpet that was perfect for the tiny people to have a battle. I think that was one of Miss Pole's, like, hallucinatory stories. Do you remember that?
No.
So some guy had made a bunch of money, and he bought this, like, expensive carpet, and he, like, woke up in the middle of the night, and there were all these, like, tiny people arranged for battle, and they're like, your carpet is the perfect dimensions, your rug is the perfect dimensions for our battle, and then they all just, like, kill each other.
No, but that did just remind me that when Steven cut into one of his pork pies, there was a whole city in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything is a fever dream in this book.
Okay, so yeah, this is what it was. They, the tinsel-haired man and Steven go to an Arab market, where people were, like, trying to tell them stuff. Yeah, that was they like, traveled somewhere. But, like, a lot of people were afraid of speaking, and there was, like, a whole thing. Yeah.
Just so many things happening in this book. Have to reread it. Yeah, Peggy wants the vendors to come to her.
I hate that I have, like, so little to say, but it was overwhelming. Right? Like, it
was a lot.
Yeah.
We could have split that one in 2 weeks.
For sure. But now we know.
Yeah. So if you are catching this on the replay, sorry we've already ruined it for you, but take 2 weeks to read this part. Learn from our mistakes. It's really good, though.
Yeah.
See, any other weird stuff?
Yeah.
That I talked about on my notes.
I enjoy seeing Wellington. Like, he's a fun character.
Oh, yeah, we haven't even talked about that.
I mean, just, he's practical, goal-focused. He's, like, at some point they kind of mentioned that he's a womanizer, so, like, not cool with that, I guess, but...
He is the Ken doll of the British
and everybody,
ideal.
Like, everybody loves him. Yeah.
That all children's, dolls are called Wellington, and everyone, So funny.
But at least he's not one of these like gentlemen, right? Like it's refreshing to have a character who is, and like he has some gentlemanly qualities, sure, but at least he's like doing something and he is effective, and I appreciate that.
Thistle down hair.
Mm-hmm.
I keep messing up what that's called. Yeah, those are all my notes.
I'll try to do a better job of taking notes. So yeah, no clue at all what I think is going to happen in this next reading.
So do y'all like it? Y'all haven't said if you really like
They
it.
said they're holding out on their opinion till the end.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, in Mirrors, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in this book. I do hope it ends well. I'm always, like, y'all are pickier about book endings than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And it hurts my heart for y'all when you don't like the ending and it, like, ruins the whole book for you because you feel like you've wasted your time.
Well, I think in those cases, like, they were fine books with a bad ending. Like they're fine. And then a bad ending, like, you know, you're on the fence and then you tip over on the wrong side. I think so far for me, like, the ending would have to be extraordinarily bad for me to get, like, back on the fence. I'm on the good side of the fence right now, right? Like, I'm here. This is good. Even if it's, like, a weak ending, I'd be like, you know, but that was a fun ride.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to be like, and then nobody ever saw them again. I'd be like, what? You know, and...
Oh, yeah. This book has had many, like...
chuckles.
Just many cackles have come out of me as I've been reading.
Yes.
Very funny. There's just a lot of personality.
Yeah.
I feel like we don't get that a lot. Like, it's personality that fits. Mm-hmm. It doesn't take you out of the book. It just makes you laugh and keep going.
Mm-hmm. Just little snide remarks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway.
There was another person that was described as a vegetable in this one.
I didn't
was just
notice.
like, yes, here we are again doing it.
So mean how they, like, describe people. And how they say that, like, a redhead can never be handsome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just little things.
Thanks.
I'm sure we can find a website that has, like, all the funny little lines or something.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Probably so. If anybody's capable of doing it, it's certainly strange. But he'll have to, like, enlist Norrell's help, perhaps. Especially because Norrell has done the kind of magic that has brought Arabella back before. All right, not like somebody like Arabella back. And does she even have to be brought back? Is she, like, in hell and we can go get her? Yeah, like, I don't know. So.
Yeah, why'd she die so fast? I
Something,
feel like, you know, the other girl really lingered on for a while.
Well, something about the peat bog thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He took her down quick. Poor Arabella. She's so reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's really cool. So Peggy's saying right here, she hates the society, like, society people are jerks. And, like, just people who think they're better than other people for, like, absolutely no reason. These people have no skills. If things went sideways...
No, they do have skills. They know how to match wallpaper to furniture.
But so, like, this is one of my big criticism of people generally is, like, if things went sideways, you would die first.
Yeah.
And all of these people would just, like, the only reason they're alive is because everybody else agrees that, like, this system we will take care. And, like, what if everybody just decided not to? And that happens sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, like, I agree. Like, that kind of thing is infuriating to me. But Arabella, more than anybody else, and maybe Stephen, I feel like had, like, real skills. And something we are seeing Strange do is develop real, like, real skills. You know, he still can't, like, cook or anything. But, you know, whatever, we're getting there.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is she dead or just trapped? Are they the same? Like, she's dead to us, but she's trapped in
what does that
the
mean?
thistle down haired man's world. What? I don't know. Thistle down. What is it?
TD.
Whatever. The fairy.
I kind of, yeah.
Well, it just wasn't proper for a woman to wear black back then.
Well, and somebody, it might be strange, is like, "Ooh, it's such a terrible color for a young lady," or like, "I do not approve." Okay.
And when they put a shawl on her, the blackness of her dress like took the color out of the shawl and everything. All very magical. And what a fool. He was doing his little magic to try to see where she was, and it showed him the party, and he's like, nah. Look at your own magic. Look at your results. Stupid.
Yep.
Y'all got anything else?
Nope. Hopefully this week will be slower. I'll take time to... Maybe I'll slow it down from 2.1 to something else. And today we need to announce what our next book is.
Yeah.
That's Nicole's pick. So we'll be getting that out there.
Yeah. I feel like I've let you down my last few picks.
Nah. As long as we're reading together.
Yeah. So we'll announce that today.
Sounds good to me. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up then, because I feel like we've done good. Maybe we pick something short. Like 3 weeks, but like you'll have some days off.
Yeah. Well, and I do think that we are good at like spacing out the longer reads. Like we do have some books that just like have a lot more reading to do,
Sure.
but then we do try to follow it up with something easier after that.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
and like
Peggy and Shelby are going to be flying, so
yeah. As long as we've been doing it, because like we've been doing this almost 2 years now.
yeah,
It's like 2 years. Like
longer than 2 years, I think.
I feel like we had our anniversary like a couple weeks ago. We missed it.
Oh yeah.
No, it might be this month. I can't remember. Anyway, we still don't have a great handle on looking at like page numbers and things and figuring out how much time do we really need. You know,
I knew
like
this was a long one.
Sure, but like I don't know. we make questionable choices sometimes, and that's okay. But no, and like, so what? If we don't like something all that much, at least we're here and talking about it, and
We have learned from all the things we've read.
yeah, all of them.
We'll look into Isabel. All right, well, send those recommendations in.
Yeah.
Someone commented on West with Giraffes with a recommendation that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 or 3 books in the hat that I definitely want to read. So I can throw those in. And someone else gave us another recommendation for like a Frida McFadden book. We've never read her stuff, but she's very popular. Frida McFadden? I think that's her name.
Sounds right.
You know, so
Got options.
we learned not to smoke while restoring paintings. You are correct, Shelby. Like, tell me you hated Flanders Panel without telling me you hated Flanders Panel.
Look, so since Flanders Panel, I have played chess every day. Like, seriously, because of Flanders Panel, I've played chess every day now for 378 days.
Life-changing.
It's a big deal.
Peggy's learning chess on Duolingo.
Oh, very cool. I saw some very funny, like, Duolingo memes where, like, the owl was holding people hostage.
That owl gets aggressive.
Very aggressive. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up.
All right, bye. Happy reading.
Okay, well, I didn't mean to, like... At this point, we're talking about Duolingo, and they don't pay me, so...
Oh, yeah, no free advertising. We'll be reading Volume 3, which is Uskglass.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck, everybody. Happy reading.
Yep. Thanks for playing.
Take good notes.
Bye.